Rawr. Hey guys, Dunlocks here, back with a new rambling mini review. This is Wildermyth. This footage is actually from presumably the early access. This game was released in 2021, and at least currently it's $25. Now I have 140, 150 hours in this thing. So for $25, I'd say for me it was fair. I don't know, $25 still feels a little steep for games like this, but this is a party-based tactical RPG. It's procedurally generated. I like it. I would recommend it. It's one of those that actually does. It tries to take procedural generation and apply it to the story. So I think there's like 5 or 6 pre-made campaigns, and those are good. But a buddy of mine, we played through 1 or 2 of the randomly generated ones, and those are fine as well. Now, they kind of advertise this as, let's see, it follows heroes over their whole careers, from their pitchfork days to their powerful primes, on into old age and memory. It's a party-based procedural storytelling RPG where tactical combat and story decisions will alter your world and reshape your cast of characters. And that is mostly true. Let's talk about negatives real fast first. There are all kinds of story events, right? Every turn, you usually get some kind of story, some little event. And some are very rare, like rare to the point where I've not gotten them after almost 150 hours. And there's some that I've gotten every game, right? So they can get old. You can, you see them time and time again a lot of the time. And what's really kind of interesting is, just before I forget, some of the stuff you're going to see in the randomly generated campaigns, you will not see any other place. There's like a whole toolbox, there's a whole set, there's a whole bunch of enemies, and you're not going to see them in the regular campaigns. You're not going to see them in the pre-generated ones, the actual created ones. You need to see them through the random campaign, which is kind of neat. So yeah, you'll see some of the same events time and time again, and that gets old. Aside from that, there's not really a lot of negatives. It says choices matter. They don't really. Okay, let me rephrase that. They can, but see, this is one of the choices right here. Can I make this bigger? Yeah. So this is a choice. It basically presents you a choice, and this can carry on. But a lot of the time, it'll be, when it's an event, it's like, choose this or choose this. And it'll almost always be like, either get something or don't. And by the way, it's not random. So once you know what it is, it's that way forever. I don't know, they don't show it here, but usually there's a little button right up here. You're like, yeah, it says wiki, and you just click on that and it'll open a web page with the outcomes. So you can either do the role playing, or you could be like, what gives me the loot, right? But that said, they always lead to like this one, I guess. No, maybe not. Actually, I don't know if I've ever seen this. Well, here's the other thing is, as they're updating it, they're still updating it. Every quarter or 6 months, they release a new update that adds new stuff and reworks some of the events. That could be bad, that could be good. I don't know. I don't know if I've seen this one, but I might have in a different way. So, who knows? I'm rambling. I'm all over the place at the moment, but like I said, I would recommend the game. There are flaws. And it's not quite as, like, the choices mattering, and it says that your stuff will carry over You know, because that's what happens, right? You you create a character. They start as a youth, inexperienced with just a pitchfork or whatever. Then they become an adventurer, and then they descend into old age. And if they're lucky, they retire. They don't die. Uh, and if they retire, then in another game, you could find them as well. You know, you could come across them as a youth. Like they might be, because that's the thing. It's like the games that you play become the tales that are told within the world of the game. So, you know, even the title, Wildermyth, right? It's all about the myths, like legends, folklore, that sort of thing, right? So you you know, you go to a village under attack and it's one of your heroes from a past game, and maybe they'll join you, maybe they won't. You know, that's kind of neat, but it doesn't, all of the stuff that you acquire and build them up to in one game, most of it does not carry over. There are some things that do, but very rarely, and otherwise it's just the equipment, and that gets usually down leveled to be you know, you might find a tier 3 legendary water spear that's a unique weapon, and then you find the same character in the next game and she has that same spear, but now it's a level 1. You know, it's nearly useless because it's a different, you know, you're not as strong as you were when you went for the legendary spear, and so, you know, that sucks, right? Yeah, I'm all over the place, but like I said, I would recommend it. It is fun. The writing's good, even though you're going to see some of the same events over and over again. The procedural thing is done really well. The enemy factions here, this game, one of the hugest points in this game's favor is how creative it is. Okay, you have all these enemy factions. You have like 5 different ones, and they generally don't stick to the normal fantasy tropes, right? So your normal fantasy game, you're going to have, you know, dwarves, elves, whatever. This, you don't have that. You do have, there is an undead faction, but they're steampunk. They're like clockwork undead. You know, and all of the races or all of the enemy factions have really interesting, you know, they're different, right? They're all unique and creative, and so playing the game, I'm like, wow, okay, this is cool. The characters are the same way because your classes are not, you would think it's the typical warrior, mage, thief, archer, or whatever, and that is the case, kind of. But you could, for example, your warrior might be a tank, and you might get blessed by the spirit of the mountain, and so all of a sudden all his arms and legs are stone, right? So now he's less of a physical attacker because he's too slow. So your best bet is to make him defensive, right? Because, you know, when he's fully powered up with the stone aspect, his whenever he blocks, stone will like flip, it'll like chip off and damage any surrounding enemies. So him blocking hurts enemies. You know, or you can get you know, I made my thief, or I made my archer, he was a tree person, and so he became this giant, he basically became a melee brawler. But whenever thieves have the ability to go into like gray plane, they turn it, basically they turn invisible, right? So he got this ability to turn invisible every time he killed someone, and since he was basically a walking tree, he would just punch people and they would die and he would turn invisible. So he was permanently invisible, like a tree golem that was permanently invisible. It was outstanding. uh, just fantastic. Some choices do matter, right? Because what seems to matter most, what carries over, is your equipment, and the state of your transformations, because your people, I don't know if you're seeing it here, they'll turn to stone over time. They're they'll turn into tree people over time. You'll get like a wolf head. uh, Basically your characters transform, but they can also like lose limbs, right? So you might have a peg leg or a hook or something like that, and that's kind of how the things carry over. Also, each character has like a little history thing, and it's like, with this campaign they killed these many peoples. It lists all their different accomplishments. Certain choices in the game, it's like that gets added to their history, and so it's kind of neat going back and looking through your characters, because it saves all of them, and you go through and you're like, oh yeah, this person did this and that, and it's all about like building up the legend and stuff. Hopefully I haven't complained too much. Some of the negatives, they do kind of get under my skin a little bit, but this game is so fantastic, honestly, that it I'm willing to overlook those. I guess one more negative is you can kind of see the character creation is there as well. They all kind of look the same, but that's fine, because they're basically supposed to be, if you're looking at the combat, it's all they're pieces on a board, right? And oh yeah, I didn't even talk about your enemies get stronger over time too. It's like they're a player as well. Enemy factions are players as well, because there's decks. They have a deck of cards, and it's like, oh, you're fighting these enemies, so draw. For this battle, they draw 6 cards, and it's whatever number of enemies, and you can do things that reduce that. You could take a card out of their deck, right? Or you could prevent cards from getting added to your deck, so that the enemy is less strong over time, or whatever. It's really neat. It does feel kind of like playing a card, or like playing a tabletop game, but you could play it by yourself. You can. It is something that is multiplayer, and I guess this is another negative. My buddy and I got it for GOG because we were trying to support GOG first. We could never get the game or the multiplayer to work through GOG. Apparently, this is on Epic as well. We didn't try it. We both ended up having to get the Steam version. So we both refunded the GOG version and got the Steam version, and that's what worked. So both of us had to be on Steam for it to play. And also the achievements, he was hosting, and so he got most of them. There were some that I didn't get. It doesn't count both. Certain achievements only count towards the host, which maybe that's been fixed since we played. I don't know. There's been like 2 or 3 updates since he and I played last, so I don't know. But like I said, I'd recommend it. It's great, especially if you like tactical RPGs. Even if you don't, I think it's so unique that you should. This, I hate that they left this in there, because this is the early access stuff. It doesn't look like that anymore, but well, I say I hate it, but it's still kind of nice looking back and seeing some of the stuff. But anyway, that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for your time and attention. I really do appreciate it. Really hope you guys are enjoying these episodes, enjoyed this episode. Let me know. I try and leave a comment. I try and read all of them. I do read all of them, assuming they're not memory hold. And I try and respond to all of them as well. Let me know if you've played the game, because I'm really curious. I want to know what your guys' experiences with this are. I think it's fantastic. And like I said, I would recommend it. I think it's super creative. And yeah. It's kind of neat that one of the updates made some of the synergies better. So I think for a while, thief characters, or whatever they are, the thief archer class, can get poison abilities, and it didn't used to be that. Oh yeah, your mages are more. They possess stuff. They manipulate the environment. They don't like cast fire. They have to. They have to utilize fire in the environment. They're like they sort of possess a torch that has fire on it, and then they have to command the fire to move. It's neat, but it used to be that you could use either poison or fire, and now you can do both, right? So you move the fire and you have the poison ability, it'll burn and poison enemies, or if your character is like becoming a fire elemental, then they can like do a flamethrower attack with both their arms. And if they have the poison ability, they can shoot poisonous fire. So it burns, damages, and poisons, which is that's what I want to see. I want to see all those crazy over the top things, and they're working those in there. So that's awesome. But yeah, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. I hope to see you guys next time. Till then, guys, take care.